is my audio so quiet? Hello? Okay, now it's a lot louder. Oh, I guess it just needed to warm up. Okay. Hello. I don't know if this title is gonna upset people or not, but whatever, who cares? What are you gonna do? Hold on, let me open up my moderation phone. Yeah, there's gonna be some Tim Pool that we're gonna have to suffer through here. It'll be fine. We're gonna be fine. Don't worry. But what I want to start off with is just looking at some of the. I want to do. Well, I got to do a full history of, the Weimar Republic, Nazi Germany. I don't know. There's a lot of things you got to learn. I mean, the Tenet Media stuff might be worth going back to. Actually, the Tenet Media stuff is so worth going back to because there might be another like copy of Tenet out there that's paying people to stoke the flames for, with the current situation. That doesn't seem too out there to me. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't have a lot of faith in Russia to not mess with our shit. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll just watch some more lighthearted stuff while we warm up. Yeah. The Diet Coke. And I guess, yeah, we can go back over or keep going over people getting fired from their job because there isn't like libs of TikTok and whatnot, and is it Nancy Mace on a giant like doxing spree? Like, what a time! Can't cancel me. I don't have a job. Oh, sorry. All right.
Guys, we will discuss. Is it wrong to compare the Soviet Union and Germany? What part of the human brain is used to resist propaganda? What is the Chief Osceola jump? What was the most memorable episode of my trip to Moscow in 1986? And finally, what is the name of my new channel covering the history of Russia? As you can see, today's video is not quite the usual, and you bet it is indeed
okay,
not.
sorry. I was looking for like modern Russian propaganda just to get like a loader box. Well, that's nice. Oh my god. I cannot type. Because yesterday we watched that video on the internal Russian propaganda. Can telehealth save rural healthcare? I don't know if you can do surgery over the phone. Vox.
Here's how Russia uses the West's own media to confirm Russia's propaganda and disinformation in 4 easy steps. Step 1, you have a door. The hinges for the door are on the inside. It's obvious that you have to pull on the door to open it. Step 2, Russia says, no, it's all Western lies. You actually have to push the door open. Step 3, someone in the Western media writes an article and says, well, some doors you actually do have to push open. Step 4, Russia uses that Western article as proof that you do have to push on the door. The West has been lying and Russia has been right all along.
Okay.
Here's how Russia uses the West's own media to confirm Russia's propaganda and disinformation in 4 easy steps. Step 1, you have a door. The hinges for the door.
Fuck, I know that Ryan Macbeth guy had a pretty decent video on Russian propaganda. Just like the bot networks on Twitter.
Got a question.
Did Russia just bring back World War One? Wait, that might be crazy. Who's the other war guy? Fuck. Sorry. I have a bunch of things loaded up, but one of the things I thought was what I wanted wasn't what I wanted, so I have to go look for what I want to learn about. This, I don't know it. Preston Stewart, that's his name. This is usually a good catch-up for all things war-related. Although he has not been... Russians are in the pipes again. All right,
so it looks like Russia is trying their third pipeline attack, moving troops for up to 4 days underground to try to surprise and overtake Ukrainian positions. I mean, it worked in Avdiivka, it worked in Sudza, so now they're trying near Kupiansk. What we know so far, according to some reporting here from Deep State, they say, quote, messages are coming in that Russian army has carried out another pipe operation. This time, it is reported that they passed through the gas pipeline near Kupiansk and emerged into the city blocks through the forest. No other details have been provided yet, but judging by the fact that everything happened unexpectedly for the armed forces of Ukraine, the operation was well planned. They say the Russian army built an entire logistical artery. The entrances to the pipe are located at the area of Pervy Liman. Specifically designed wheeled beds and electric scooters are used for movement inside the pipe where the height allows. The route to the vicinity of Kupiansk takes about 4 days, so special rest areas and food supplies have been made along the way.
How big are these
Thus,
pipes?
organized enemy groups reach Radkivka without serious losses, then move south into the controlled forest. After that, they disperse in Kupiansk and reach the railway. The only real response I've seen from Ukrainian sources at this point is Bakhmut Demon, who said, quote, regarding Kupiansk, the fact that the enemy is sneaking into the northern outskirts and climbing through the pipe has long been known by the fighters, and resistance has been put up for a long time.
They did not look
this information
sizable.
was not spread, including by the guys from Deep State, I suspect, for the safety of certain of our earlier actions. And I should note on the Russian side right now, we're seeing very little footage or confirmation of this. Russia is generally just repeating the reporting coming out of Ukrainian channels like Deep State. Now, we did get this footage probably a month.
The fuck? Oh my god, that looks... I mean, obviously it's war, right? It's not supposed to be fun. But that looks awful. A 4-day journey in there? God damn.
Ago, and there were some rumors that it was in the Pokrovsk direction because, of course, that's where the majority of the heaviest fighting has been taking place as of late. It looks like this footage was actually taken from Kupiansk. Now, a question here, and we were showing some of the videos and the overhead maps of where this pipe attack took place. It's a little bit different. In Sudza and Avdiivka, we saw Russian forces utilize pipelines that passed from Russian lines through the contested territory and opened up, or they popped out then, behind the Ukrainian front. And they surprised Ukraine in both of those occurrences and were able to, in both cases, kind of significantly affect the course of the battles taking place in the near vicinity. Here, they are staying inside of Russian-controlled territory start to finish. So it's very different. And you might ask,
so it's all within Russian-controlled territory. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So wait,
benefit here of doing so it's very different. And you might ask, why? What is the benefit here of doing?
So this is this Pokrovsk? Is that how you say that? fuck, man. I was gonna try and like I've been learning a bit of Arabic, um, and Cyrillic was gonna be next, just to not necessarily words, just how the language works. Yeah, I haven't been great about keeping up with Arabic, but where's it?
So it's very cases kind of, and they surprised Ukraine. In both of those occurrences, were able to, in both cases, kind of significantly affect the course of the battles taking place in the near vicinity. Here, they are staying inside of Russian-controlled territory start to finish. So it's very different. And you might ask, why? What is the benefit here of doing that? And there's a couple things to keep in mind. First, Ukraine, having been tricked twice now through these pipelines, means that they are probably monitoring those near their positions. It is probably much harder, if not impossible, for Russia to actually use these gas pipelines to infiltrate through the front line. That's one. The second piece here is that area, moving troops to the front to take part in an assault, is some of the deadliest terrain on the battlefield. We'll try to play some videos here of Russian forces moving to the front, and you just see, I mean, one road after the other is just being referred to as the road of death, because Ukraine has such significant drone presence over certain portions of the front that Russia runs into this wall of drones, this army of drones that Ukraine has put
4 fucking days in a tunnel within your own territory
forward. And we've had multiple interviews on this channel where Ukrainian soldiers say the deadliest, most dangerous time of the fight is that period of time moving to the front. When they're back in the rear, they're relatively protected away from the front, of course. And even when they get into position up near the front, they're protected. They have overhead cover. They're in a dugout position. Maybe they're in the basement or in a building. But that period of time, moving from the assembly area to the front, they're exposed, and everything that moves is getting hit on both sides of the line. So the way that Russia, at least near Kupiansk, appears to have tried to mitigate this is putting their soldiers underground for 4 days, traveling through these gas pipelines. Another big takeaway here is when you're looking at the possibility of a large-scale breakthrough at the front, you have to keep in mind this type of tactic. One of the regions that we are really seeing slow progress, albeit Russia continues to move forward in multiple areas, but slow progress, is they're not able to mass significant forces in any one direction to exploit some sort of breakthrough. And we saw this down near Pokrovsk, the Dobropilia breakthrough, just about a month ago.
Here we are.
Where, yes, 1s, 2s, 3s Russian infantry at a time were able to get through, but that's not nearly enough to facilitate any sort of, or not to be able to exploit any sort of breakthrough. If you have to move your soldiers underground or above ground through a pipeline that takes 4 days to get to the frontline position, at which point you then carry out an attack, you can see how limited Russia's options are to really conduct any sort of significant sized assault and possible breakthrough of the Ukrainian lines. Either way, this tactic has worked in the past, and it looks like something that Russia is continuing to do when possible, bring the fight underground to protect their forces from Ukrainian drones. Now, quick note, we did stand up a Patreon program a couple weeks ago. We're at about like 100 patrons now. It's awesome how fast this has grown. We've got patron-only content going up there. AMA actually recording tomorrow. One of the questions is about like the office setup here, kind of running through the bookshelf and everything. I'm excited to show all that. And a couple more. And then, of course, ad-free, sponsor-free videos all over there on Patreon. Link in the description for those interested and able in supporting the work that we do here. Now, I want to shift over to another story that should still continue to be the top headline in every...
What a name. Welcome to the chat, Twink Destroyer 69. Yeah, dude, the woke right has actually brought back cancel culture. Oh my god, dude. You have, like, actual U.S. representatives canceling people. At the end of the day, everyone is a liberal. You would like to think you're liberal if you're within, liberal values of, freedom, self-determination, the institutions we have to protect that, but I feel like MAGA falls outside of that. I don't think they're a big fan of liberal values. Like, I'd say Republicans are liberal, like have liberal values, but MAGA not so much.
Every major Western news publication, and it's just not, for a variety of reasons. No doubt it has been a hectic week, and there's been a lot of
Oh, okay, yes. Everyone is soy, I think. Okay, I was misinterpreting what you were saying. Yes, at the end of the day, everyone's a soy boy. Because realistically, even when it was the left that was a lot more vocal about being soy, the reaction to it was also pretty soy on the right. It's like, you're a bigot. How dare you call me that? Oh my god, I'm so mad. Like, everyone's got to look in the mirror and admit they're all a bit soy. I know I'm soy, but we just need the right to own their soyness and admit that everyone involved in politics is a little bit of a baby, myself included.
stories, not least being a pretty high-level assassination is probably the best way to put it, of Charlie Kirk here in the United States. So a political commentator was killed just a couple days ago at an event in Utah. It sounds like the perpetrator or the suspect is in custody at this point.
Again, political violence, bad. This is a tragic event. I don't get why people are saying, oh, it was a moderate. He was doing common sense takes. Like, the guy was out there making biblical arguments against gay marriage. Like, just because, like, that doesn't justify being murdered, but he wasn't mainstream, like, common sense conservative. He was pretty far right. Wasn't a
And it
groiper,
sparked
but,
some,
like,
to be blunt, like pretty nasty language being flown around in every direction. And no doubt that took a lot of the attention off of anything else that was happening at all. But this being a geopolitical war and conflict focused channel, I'm going to try to do my best to stay focused on the areas where I feel like I can actually contribute and say something that's not already being said and not just adding to the noise that is already out there. So while a lot of the domestic attention, understandably so, has been on that event, meanwhile, Russia carried out an attack against NATO that I believe was a test of the alliance. And as we sit here today, I think it is a test that we are failing.
Yeah, one of the big additions in my return to streaming has been a soundboard. Oh my god, it's
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Now, let me be clear.
it's wonderful.
Now, I want you to keep that in mind. I want you to keep something in mind as we play through a couple of these clips and statements. Russia, I believe, is looking for cracks in the NATO
Gotta have them.
alliance.
Oh
They're
shit, that
trying
is
to
a
see
good
what
one.
happens when the alliance is under pressure. Will they respond?
Let me see if
or
they have
how
that
will they
one.
respond?
If not,
Keep that back in mind as we run through.
Gotta have them ribs. And pussy too.
Good suggestion, thank you.
A couple different key moments here, starting with President Trump just a couple days ago, asked about this event, and he said, it could have been a mistake. Let's give that a listen.
What's your reaction to Russian drone incursion into Poland?
Could have been a mistake.
Like, really? He's all this smoke for Democrats, but, violation of sovereign NATO territory? Just them crazy Russians. Well, I gotta find a clip to continue to soy out over.
Mistake, but regardless, I'm not happy about anything having to do with that whole situation. But hopefully it's going to come to an end.
Now, in direct response to this, we actually had some statements come out of Poland where the Polish prime minister said, quote, "We would also wish that the drone attack on Poland was a mistake, but it wasn't, and we know it." The deputy prime minister and minister of foreign affairs said, quote, "No, that was not a mistake."
Actually, I might have
now, we
taken
have
a note
seen
on this.
a couple NATO members kind of speak out, kind of more hawkish like that, saying, we know what we just saw. And this is one of those challenges I think has been building in the NATO alliance, is we have some countries, most
Oh,
notably
yes,
the
okay,
United
I did take this down, thank God. Yeah, dude, Obsidian's great.
Please welcome the President of the United States.
Yeah, I'm considering putting these, online, but I don't know if I have anything, novel here. Just a lot of notes. But what I'm trying to do more of as it gets closer to midterms is determine, okay, there's a swath of political opinions. what factions of people can I actually convince to vote blue? Because I don't think I'll ever reach MAGA. And but like, could I convince a neocon to vote blue against Trump? A centrist? Single issue voters? I don't know. Let me find this. Yeah, So yeah, that's another faction that I've omitted, is the just anti-establishment vote. Do you have a like study on the crossover there? Because that's interesting. Yeah, and there's also a lot of AOC and Trump crossover. Anti-establishment populism is on the rise. Anyway, also just give this a watch if you want to soy out a bit with me.
Yes, please.
Hi, sir. There's new reporting that the Russians have hacked into some computer systems that manage U.S. federal court documents. I wonder if you've seen this reporting and if you plan to bring it up with Putin when you see him later in the week.
I guess I could. Are you surprised? You know, are you surprised? They hack in. That's what they do. They're good at it. We're good at it. We're actually better at it. But no, I have heard about it. I have heard about it.
Like, this didn't even make the news, but I feel like that's an insane thing to say, given, you know, a foreign country is hacking in again. Well, actually, wait, what up? The Russian hacks helped him win in 2016. Of course he doesn't care. What am I fucking saying? But that's crazy to just dismiss that and say, those Russians, you know them. They be hacking.
United States, where we tend to give Russia the benefit of the doubt and say, maybe it was a mistake, right? They didn't actually mean to do this. And the further east you get, be it Poland, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, the further east you get, the more these countries are saying, are you kidding me? And Ukraine, of course, not a member of NATO, but you can put them kind of at the forefront of this camp of, we are seeing this every single day. This is not a mistake. How are you not learning these lessons? That seems to be how this is playing out right now. So again, back of mind, if you're Putin, if you're Russia, if you're watching how NATO is responding, you're seeing cracks. It is impossible to avoid this at this point. On top of that, we had a video put together, kind of a roll-up. We're seeing this more and more from the Trump administration. Senior officials putting together a weekly roll-up of here's what we accomplished this week for my department, my position, whatever it might be.
Makes sense.
The NATO ambassador, or the U.S. ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, who at times in recent months has come out rather hawkish and rather supportive of the NATO alliance, more so than we are seeing from other officials in this administration, he put together his video. It somehow didn't mention at all this attack by Russia into Poland against NATO territory, didn't mention Poland invoking NATO Article 4, which really is just, let's get everybody together and talk about what actually happened here. That was 2 days ago.
Are we going to that Article 4 meeting? Is that how that works? Do we have to? We should, in my humble opinion. But
NATO did that. That's a significant event in the history of the alliance. I mean, NATO, Article 4 happens a lot more than Article 5, but the fact that we're even having that conversation is pretty serious. But here's the U.S. roll-up, what the United States deemed as the most important events for the U.S. ambassador to NATO to put out over the course of the last couple days. Let's give that a watch.
I'm Matt Whitaker, the U.S. ambassador to NATO.
So the crossover, at least in this one specific person, is they don't like immigrants coming into their town, but they also like healthcare and housing and education. So it's third positionist. It's social. It's economically social, but also anti-immigration. What? Yeah, isn't that what they call third positionism?
Here at NATO headquarters, a steel beam from the World Trade Center's 107th floor serves as a daily reminder of the nearly 3,000 innocent people who perished on September 11th, 2001. Less than 24 hours after the attacks, for the first time in history, NATO invoked Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. Together, we turned grief into unity and resolve. Back home, We created the Department of Homeland Security to ensure such horrors would.
That is a crazy sentence to read. But he did make moves with young white. I mean, it seems like he was pretty popular across the board. So, yeah, again, it's the anti-establishment, quote unquote.
Would you shut up?
Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. You got to see another classic Joe Biden line. Man, this Trump presidency makes me realize how much I miss Joe. Jihad white boy summer is a crazy sentence.
Never happen again on American soil. And just this week, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem stood here at NATO.
I really do.
That mission.
We don't give him enough credit.
Borders.
Oh my. Okay, sorry. People have been bringing that up other days when we've been talking about political violence, and just reading that almost rage baited me. It's like that's a really zoomed in picture. And also, if that's the best you got on Joe, and him saying MAGA is a dangerous movement, really? And that's compared to Trump on Fox News saying, well, right-wing violence is justified because they're doing it for good reasons. And also, there is no right-wing violence. And also, we have no recourse because the elections are all rigged. These are not the same. But Joe Biden had red lights behind him. Come on. This is the woke right at work.
To empower first responders and to work with allies to keep our people safe. And we will lead with peace through strength.
True. Oh my god, they saw... So it does seem like the roommate was... is in the beginning of transitioning and that they were romantically involved. But the roommate's been super cooperative. And there were no trans writings on the bullets. They thought the Helldivers thing was... They said trans arrows. I think Steven Crowder fucking published that. And now he's getting investigated by the ATF. Oh, poor Steven Crowder. That guy just can't catch a break.
Restoring safety and security for America and around the world. I'm Matt Whitaker, and that's this week's NATO Huddle.
Oh my, I don't think America knows what goes on the internet. I don't think they realize how many trans Nazis there are. There is a sizable faction of trans far-right people. That's not hard to come by. But I don't think America's ready to acknowledge that that exists. Oh my god. That's an insane chat. Holy shit.
Again, I just want you to think of how Russia is viewing this, right? The reason that this is so important, we're going to get more into this in a minute, is for my lifetime, certainly, and definitely for the entire time that Putin has been in power, they have viewed NATO as this, you can't mess with this. If you poke that bear, it might be bad what comes out the other side. And they're seeing right now that, Trump is saying it might have been a mistake. We're having the ambassador to NATO not mention these drones flying into Polish airspace at all. Poland had to close down some of their airports for unplanned military activities to protect state security. In fact, as I'm recording this, 10:30 a.m. on Saturday, September 13th, I'm pretty sure I just saw a notification that Poland closed down their airports again, suggesting there might be another Russian drone incursion happening right now. That is so serious and so important, and it didn't make it even a snippet into the weekly roll-up here from Ambassador Whitaker. On top of that, again, think of how this is being perceived by Russia. I have not seen a single statement about this at all from the U.S. Department of Defense / Department of War. I don't, nothing.
Yeah,
even acknowledging that.
Dude, it's what a crazy week. There's calls for civil war. There's teetering on the edge of World War III. What a grand time. Just why? Yeah, I saw that. And Poland had to scramble F-16s. And yeah, we're at the point now where it's Russia is doing military exercises, NATO's doing joint military exercises. I just think it's so insane that Trump isn't like being vocal and of all times to reaffirm our support for NATO. It would be now. Russian appeasement when we don't need to do this. Like, again, it's not the Soviet Union anymore. Russia is far more bark than they are bite. Like, yes, they still have nukes. That's a big problem. But, like, they're not as key of an adversary. They're still an adversary, to be sure. But they're not our biggest threat. I'd say China is way more of a... Oh, hold on, I got temporarily disconnected from chat. China's a way stronger enemy right now. But also not like a... Yeah, China's the real thing. Again, Trump, I think, just likes Putin and wants Putin to like him. And the thought of having to actually play hardball against him really hurts him. BRICS is making moves. What kind of moves is BRICS making? I thought, they did that one deal exclusively in yen, or yuan, not yen, sorry. I haven't kept up too much with BRICS, but BRICS isn't NATO. Well, yeah, that definitionally so, but the limits of BRICS and what it actually does is kind of hazy, if I'm not mistaken. It's not like some huge military alliance, nor is it like a big economic pact. I think it leans more on the economic side, but it doesn't come close to NATO. Can you imagine if World War III starts under the No New Wars precedent? I think that's what he's worried about.
That it happened. It does not appear that U.S. forces, from what I've seen now, have participated in not just the initial shoot-down and interception of these drones. At least it wasn't mentioned, and NATO did not call out the United States as participating. And doesn't look like, more on this in a second, we're going to contribute any additional resources to the conduction of Operation Eastern Sentry along NATO's eastern flank. Again, what is the message that Putin is hearing with all of this? And I mentioned nothing from Secretary Hegseth or his department. I also haven't seen anything from Secretary Rubio or the Department of State. Look, hectic week. The timeline has been wild. It's entirely possible that I have missed some of these statements that have been made, and I don't mean to present it otherwise if it's just a research error on my part. But when you look at this in whole, we've got the president saying it might have been a mistake. The Secretary Hegseth, Secretary Rubio not mentioning it at all, and the ambassador to NATO focusing exclusively on other items. To me, this shows a fracturing in the NATO alliance. So what does that mean? And to hit on that real quick, I'm seeing a lot of folks present this as,
brain rot is a New York Times crossword answer. Oh, no. They had Antifa as an answer yesterday, too, which was kind of crazy.
Russia is not going to invade Poland, or Russia is not going to launch missiles into France now that the United States did not stand with NATO when they came under attack this time. I agree. Putin's not stupid. I don't think that is in the cards. There's no reason for Russia to initiate a conventional war with NATO that they would lose, to be clear. Even without the United States, I think Russia has very little chance of taking on the rest of the NATO alliance. That's not the major concern. The major concern here is that, again, the entire time that Putin has been in power, one of the things he has to keep in mind when he's planning anything and everything is NATO capabilities, and the idea that any attack or perceived attack against an alliance member would be considered an attack on all, and Putin might then be facing the full weight of NATO military force.
They should do, because you know how the Sunday one, they do like a special theme? They should just do exclusively like Gen Z, Gen Alpha fucking terminology and watch the old folks, which are the only people that actually do this, are just break down. That'd be fun.
What is it going to take for him to adjust his planning, be it how
Or
he's
actually, I
conducting
could
the
make
war
a
in
crossword
Ukraine,
that does
how
that.
he is approaching relations with the Baltic countries, or maybe future operations into Eastern Europe?
Wait, let me try.
To change that planning, what is it going to take in terms of a fracture in the NATO alliance? Is it 1%, 5%, 10%? Is it one country not willing to back Article 5? Is it the United States just backing out? I don't know. But if you're Putin, we have to acknowledge the fact that this changes the geopolitical dynamics that have been at play for decades at this point. And I would argue that right now we are failing as an alliance. Unfortunately, I think the reason the alliance is failing right now at this very point is the United States' reaction. We're seeing some other NATO member states step up in a lot of ways that I think are very, very important. I think the U.S. kind of very visibly stepping back is a problem. I think Russia notices, and I think we should expect Russia to take advantage of that sometime in the future. Again, not conventional military invasion rolling across Polish borders.
All right. I think it's time to head over to opposition research and watch some Fox News. See what the largest news network in the United States is telling their army of MAGA folk about us lefties. Or, I mean, I forget, I'm a pretty standard center-left Democrat, but according to Trump, I'm radical left, so, oh well.
He has not confessed to authorities. He is not cooperating. But all the people around him are cooperating. We can confirm that that his roommate was indeed a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female, and that he is cooperating with authorities.
A Fox News alert. Charlie Kirk's murder suspect refusing to cooperate as the FBI discovers new details about his dark digital footprint before he makes his first court appearance tomorrow.
All right, FBI Director Kash Patel joins us now.
This
I can't
crossword
imagine,
is gonna
Mr.
be
Director, how busy you've
great.
been.
All right, what are some
especially,
other...
Charlie Kirk isn't just a impactful person, he's your friend. So I understand that. But having said that, people are looking to you to find out is how big this investigation is going to be. Can you tell us the latest?
Absolutely. It's so good to be with you. And you're right. My personal feelings and relationship with Charlie, I have a job to do for the American people, and I'm committed to do it for President Trump. We flexed all resources the FBI had.
Wait, hit me with all of the Gen Z terms you have.
Surged multiple air assets as soon as this shooting occurred. We were cycling in agents, evidence response technicians, hostage rescue technicians, and special operators in and out of Utah, cycling evidence.
Wait,
back
you can
and
see
forth.
the... Is the text too small here? I can make it a bit bigger.
On these FBI planes as soon as we could so that there was no delay. And what we did once I got there, along with the deputy on the ground around 5 p.m. local on September 11th, was walk the entire crime scene, including the foots the suspect himself took. And what we learned was there was evidence, DNA evidence that could be collected and had been collected, including a screwdriver that was found on the rooftop. Also, we went over to the scene in the wooded area.
I like how Kash Patel has to justify it. Oh my god. Yeah, okay, those are a bunch. I'm 22, so.
Area where the firearm was discarded, and the firearm had a towel wrapped around it. It's important. I'll get back to that later. I even walked into the wooded area in the ravine, so I knew from my investigative experience what I could bring to the table and what decisions I needed to make.
I think we are, dude.
Support of President Trump.
Sometimes I feel like like these kids these days. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like only 4 years removed from being a teenager. Oh, chopped, Unk. Oh, Jesus, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I know I'm getting aged out because I don't even know what SDIYBT means. Oh, 6'7", true. Yes. I forgot about that.
And the full support of the White House
Amogus.
was what we needed for these resources to happen.
Sus.
And I can report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody.
So, Mr. Director, that is vital. That is breaking news and vital information because now you have the casings for the gun. So you connect the gun. Now you got his DNA on it. That's huge. But I also want to get to another part.
I just got to interrupt. Sorry, I just got to interrupt. We have the DNA on the screwdriver that was found on the rooftop and the towel that the firearm was wrapped in. The firearm itself, this is a great point. Thanks for raising it.
Yeah, no problem.
That is being processed by ATF laboratories in Maryland, and I believe they'll...
Okay, has there been any substantiation to what did the FBI actually do here? Outside of set up a tip line. I'm leaning towards it being like a Antifa type. Like it's tough though, because like when you have just like the terminally online, especially when you're young, like I know in the last 10 years I've had like 80 different political positions or like affiliations. Just, I think, an unwell kid. I think at the end of his massive swings in political ideologies, it seems like he ended up on the left. Could very well be a groyper. I think it's too early to tell. I'm just going off what I would guess. But what I'm worried about is how this is going to hurt the trans community. Because even before we knew anything about the guy, they were already trying to blame trans people. And the roommate allegedly, like, being trans is going to AI Trump declare. Is that a real video? I could make that video. We don't even need AI Trump. Trump himself actually just does that. So
speak to that at a later date when their process is incomplete. But I just want to let you know the FBI handled the screwdriver and the towel found on
That
scene.
is important clarification, Mr. Director. I want to get to the 20 members in that group chat. Have they been brought in from questioning? And the group chat that from our reporting that we're hearing is from after the assassination. Do you have the messages from before the assassination?
Well, let me take a step back and tell you what we were doing while we were there and how we were led to the suspect so that this all fits into the puzzle.
Yeah, how were you led to the suspect? Yeah, I know, right? It's like... It just shows it's such a strong generational divide. Like, oh, whoa, what's this? And if you read this, you're gay, Lamau. And then, what's this Discord thing? It's a messaging app for people on the internet? Oh, no. When it's like, literally everyone you know under 35 probably has a Discord account. Now, some people are more active than not, but, like, again, it's just a messaging app. I don't know. Everyone has a Discord. Every community has a server. I don't know.
As soon as we learned of the shooting, we were able to, I think...
If we feel unk right now, imagine how unk they feel when they're like, I don't even recognize any of these words. The world has moved past me.
Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:23 local time on September 10th. By 12:39 p.m. local time, FBI assets were on scene securing the scene. We then launched at 10 a.m. the next day the first images of the suspect. Myself and the deputy arrived at 5 p.m. local time on September 11th. And then what we did was decided to have a press conference at 8 p.m. local, where we issued for the first time FBI obtained video footage that we seized from the security camera surveillance system.
Yeah, no, there's radicalization pipelines on the internet, in forums and in Discord servers. That is very true. But it's not like being on the internet radicalizes you. You kind of have to be predisposed to it. Because the level of radicalization to do something like this is... I feel like you have to have some pre-existing, mental, disposition to it. I don't know, because, with someone in... I don't even know, because even the big media figures on the far left and far right, I feel like aren't too vocal about this. I know that I don't know. Yeah, no, I went down to it at 14 too. Trust me, until I think I had my awakening of oh shit, okay, not everything's a meme. It was probably 2017, 2018. Because I was still yeah, Ben Shapiro's based, he's destroying college kids. This is so epically based. I'm a libertarian, and it's epic and based that Trump won. And then I was like, I'm being attacked for being a straight white man, and then I realized, oh shit, okay. I'm being soy. I'm part of the woke right. And so I've been on the left kind of since then. I think I've moved actually towards the center more recently. Because I had a brief stint near, I wouldn't say full tanky, but pretty far. But I don't know. I'm very pro-liberal. I'm pro-electoralism. Yeah, it's just, I feel like all roads, if you entertain, the fact patterns and what's best for the country as a whole, you kind of arrive at center-left, or even social democracy. It's just, I don't know. That's what I found. Every other ideology I've held, I've found facts and everything to disprove it. But, anti-capitalist in what way? Because, a classless, moneyless society kind of way, or a we need better social programs way? Because I'm a fan of the Nordic model, but that's still capitalist, but it's not laissez-faire capitalism. I think there's some things that markets solve better for than the state, and I think there's some things the state... I got you. But I think even in theory, there's things that markets solve for better. Certain things, it's able to allocate capital resources and time towards better than a centralized state. But there's some things the state solves for better, like education, healthcare, utilities, roads, just general public infrastructure. But I think markets are real. There's a place for markets. There just needs to be a healthy tie-in between what is left to markets, what does the government do, and yeah, I think social democracy is a fine place to be. I think that's a realistic, pragmatic way to be. And my biggest thing is, if you want to end up at social democracy, if you want to end up at a standard Democrat place, we all have the same next step, which is vote blue. Like, we can fight it out in the primaries, vote blue in the general, because when we don't vote blue, we get people like Trump, which move all of us away from our goals. So, and this is what I'm telling people a lot that are pretty far left, is like, look, if you want to be part of the conversation, you got to vote for our team, because we all fall under I don't know if that's as mainstream. I think Mamdani is going to be popular. I think it's lame of mainstream Democrats to not endorse Mamdani. I think that's a huge mistake on their end. I'm very much against that. I think that the social democrat left is a part of our tent. And if they're doing it the right way, of going through, gaining political power, participating in elections, and I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't endorse Mamdani, because that's like the ask that I have for people farther left than me is, look, vote for people that are blue no matter who, and I will vote for your side or your end of it, blue no matter who. It's just, we have to be united when it comes to big elections. We fight as hard as we want in the primaries, but when it comes time to not have someone like Trump in office, we gotta come together. Yeah, there's some purism. I am not the purist. I think that the diversity of opinions should be celebrated and debated, but there also needs to be some pragmatism when it comes to, hey, I'm not going to get everything I want out of the candidate we put in general elections. You're not going to get everything you want out of the candidate we put in general elections. But it sure as hell is going to be better than whoever the other side is putting up. Anyways.
And new images. New images, enhanced images, I decided to release immediately to the public because we were working with the public and the media to find this killer. Shortly after that 8 p.m. release, at 10 p.m. local time, the suspect was in custody. Why? Because the father informed us, pursuant to an interview of him, that he looked at...
Okay, so the FBI's big role, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the deep state, the evil FBI, their role was to use AI to enhance an image and pick up the phone when the father called. Wow. Fucking A.
The video that we released that evening and the enhanced photos and identified the suspect. That's how fast the FBI was working to put out information in real time. And for a comparative sake, the Boston bombing, the FBI didn't release images for 3 days. We know we didn't have 3 days. I made an executive decision on an investigative and operational need, and it turned out to be the right move because the men and women of the FBI said that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, we knew.
I already have sus on here, so I don't know if I should do Sussy Baka as well.
Someone's going to recognize this person.
Imposter.
Because someone was friends with him, his family. Someone knows this guy. Those images were crystal clear.
These three people are evil. Where's someone linked me this clip on Reddit. I know, right? Reddit clip. Fox News host kill homeless. Where's the clip? God.
Apologizing after he made kinds of
causes that were be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something.
This is about homeless people and people mentally ill
really
people. It's crazy. What are we doing here, man? Oh, what a time to be alive.
Tell us what you know about his background, his childhood, his father who had to turn him in.
He was a good Christian boy.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore the last question. Going back to the group chats real quick, there's more than 20 individuals. But this is a great point. I want to lay out how this works. People think we can just get in these group chats and immediately find out who's in them. We, the FBI, are the investigatory body supporting multiple prosecutions and ongoing investigations. And that's another point. Our investigation at the FBI is ongoing. And there are scores of people in this Discord chat room. But we have to effectuate legal process. We have to go out there with search warrants so that if prosecutors want to later use this evidence, it's not tainted by being illegally obtained. We, the FBI, are running the investigation pointedly on the Discord chat group. There are scores of individuals that are going to be spoken to. There are also lots of family members and friends that have already been spoken to. And one more point on forensics. We were able to obtain in record time the text message chain between the suspect and his live-in partner, as well as other critical cellular information from our CAS team that analyzes cell phone data towers.
Femboy implies you're not transitioning. It's just how you're presenting. Hey, Connor. You walked into a crazy conversation. Thanks for the creeper. We had like 11 people in here yesterday at a max. This thing's growing, and I don't know if this is the best time to grow on the left. So I don't want to come into the sites. Because I had a guy come in here, and it was like, Charlie Kirk was a hero. I'm like, not really, no. Not in my humble opinion. So I might be on some lists soon.
In the area to pinpoint the locations of the suspect and other individuals he was speaking with. This is critical information that the FBI processed and got to prosecutors so they can lawfully use it in a court of law. And our investigation, our interviews continue, but we've learned some shocking things when we spoke to his family and friends as well.
You want to share them?
Yeah, but I can't say fem. I'm going by the New York Times hint rule. I don't know. I think Charlie Kirk was more extreme than people remember. He was like anti-gay marriage. You know, like he was biblical.
Sure, and my job as FBI director is not to speak to motive, is to speak to the facts, and that's what I'm going to do. His family has collectively told investigators that he subscribed to left-wing ideology, and even more so in these last couple of years.
He took offense to being called racist? Okay, I'm sorry. Is it far enough removed where we can go and look at some of Charlie Kirk's highlights? I don't know. How long do I have to wait before it's no longer in bad taste? Yeah, dude, the video was fucking crazy. I was actually going to return to streaming the day that happened. Then I opened Twitter, and I was like, okay, I'm not coming back today. That was... Yeah, I watched that. I was, like, following along as they were trying to find everything. And so had to see that video from a bunch of different angles. Ugh, it's just not good. Would recommend if you haven't seen it, don't. It is just not good for the human psyche to witness that.
And he had a text message exchange, he the suspect, with another individual, in which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. Those are factually accurate investigatory findings by the FBI that we've handed over to the local authorities and the federal authorities to make their prosecutorial decisions. But I believe in this instance of such public importance, the public has a right to know. And I've told you I'm committed to transparency, and that's what I'm doing here today.
Why didn't that person that he was talking to?
Yeah, I don't know how much credence I give to plausible deniability, though. I just... And I know how this sounds, but at least Fuentes owns it. As far as opinions go, I don't think Fuentes and Kirk were that far apart. It's just that Fuentes owned it. I know on Israel they had huge disagreements, but other than that, I do know a little bit about the Groyper Wars, but I think as far as actual policy prescriptions go, I don't know how far apart they were, barring Israel. I could be wrong. I haven't watched. Yes, I did see, or I heard about. I don't think I saw the harassment, but I do know that they hated each other. But just like if you go policy for policy and their views on it, I don't know how far apart they are. I could be wrong on this. Again, I haven't consumed much of their content, just because I don't have much interest in listening to Fuentes, and I don't think Kirk's debates are entertaining at all. Yeah, whatever. We're a couple days out. We'll watch some of the stuff. Kirk was soy right. True.
Why didn't that person say something?
Our investigation is ongoing. That's a great question, and we don't have an answer on that just yet.
But Mr. Director, you're right. Your job is not to speak to ideology, but you do have the BAU, the Behavior Analysis Unit, that are there. And my sources, people that are within the Bureau and outside that used to be FBI, tell me that the BAU has been encouraged not to tackle the transgender issue from an ideology standpoint. Have you heard that? Are you tackling that? I know you only been there recently. But you can't have a political slant saying we're not going to attack different political ideologies because it's going to offend someone.
You're absolutely right, and that's why.
There's not a lot that's great right now. Although I will be able to walk soon. That's just personally, that's nice. That's good news for me. In the world, though, World War III is inching closer. Our president refuses to, come out hard against Russia. Russian drones falling into and invading Polish and Romanian airspace. We have MAGA and broad conservatives calling for war. You have President Trump on actually this program, Fox and Friends, sitting with them, being all chummy, saying that right-wing extremists are actually doing it for a good cause. They're like, the guys on the right that are extreme, they would do violence because they don't want to see illegal immigrations or crime. But it's the people on the left that are evil. And the Fox News hosts are trying so hard to get him to say, yes, violence is bad from both sides. But he can't do it. One of the questions they ask him is like, Charlie would want us to, get our revenge at the ballot box. And Trump's like, Drew, yes, you got to get it at the voter box. And it's like, okay, that's fine. It's not great. But he's like, but the votes are all rigged now, so you can't do that. So implying there's no other way to get revenge anymore other than violence. So that's great. The consumer price index is up, even though Trump is saying it's down. Troubles ahead. Troubles are ongoing. It's people are talking about the rise of the fascist movement in the U.S. Things are going downhill. We're here. We're here. We have the National Guard going into cities. You have the President of the United States posting memes about sending the army into Chicago and talking about not just talking about, actually superseding governors and mayors to send the National Guard into their cities. Like, we're here. It's not coming. We're here. Like, I don't know. So come midterms, it is our responsibility as a nation to neuter this party by having a huge blue sweep. In my humble opinion. Yeah. what, an internet-based neo-Nazi.
Why me
I
and the
think
deputy
that's
have been quarterbacking this investigation ourselves. There is no one at the FBI that's going to politicize this investigation. There's no one at Quantico or anywhere else that is going to say we are not looking at X or Y. We are looking at the facts, and that is why we are releasing the facts in record
definition for
fashion. If you go back and look at historical cases like Luigi Mangione and the Boston bombing, how long did it take the Bureau to release information to the public? We're not doing that. Those two manhunts took 5 days, and they happened in downtown major metropolises. We apprehended our suspect in 33 hours because we were transparent and open with the American public, and we're going to continue to do that. So anyone that thinks that the FBI is not on top of its game and that me and the deputy and everybody in leadership in our Salt Lake City field office in Quantico is doing anything politically, I'm not having it. And if you've heard anything else about it, they are lying to you. We're on it.
That's why it's so important that you came on, and we're thrilled you are. A couple other things. I have 2 quick questions. One, is it true, what the governor said yesterday, that he had a written note that you're looking into now prior to the assassination?
Challenged person of advanced lived experience. That's good. I like that.
Did he have a note? And the other one question is, the person that was texting with him about, I have a shot at taking out Charlie Kirk, can that person be charged?
So I'll take those in reverse. The charging decisions are up to our great partners at the Department of Justice and the Attorney General, who have been wonderful providing resources during this entire process. And we'll let them speak to any charging decisions.
Okay, for 6-7, what about this as the definition? A number and the one that they're afraid of. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Huh?
Are investigating. As I said, our investigation is ongoing. We're interviewing dozens and dozens of suspects, subjects, witnesses, and the like, and continuing to examine forensic information, including cell phone data and DNA analyses. And once we make those findings, hand it over to our partners, as we're doing in real time, they'll make those decisions. And I'm sorry, Brian, I forgot your other question.
You had a written note. Did he write a written note before the assassination attempt? That's what the governor said yesterday. And what did that say, if you could share?
So what I'm able to say...
Oh, the boo-boo.
I'm sorry. So what I'm able to say is, I addressed it partially earlier, is that the written note, we believe, did exist.
I don't even know
what evidence to show what was in that note.
I had no idea.
And I'm going to summarize, basically saying, the suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
So, Mr. Director, I'm curious, and there has been some criticism, so I appreciate you coming on our program and discussing it with our audience. Can you tell us what was happening on the ground? Apparently, according to sources, you weren't getting some information, you requested photos, and you were being stonewalled. Now, I think it's important to know there's always some sort of tension between local cops on the ground and the feds.
For Bussy, is it fine if I just do male hole? Performative male to define Bussy? I was just gonna do male hole, but performative male? Am I Unk? I don't get it.
To handle their own investigation. But of course, with an investigation of this magnitude, you have to step in, you have the resources. But can you explain, was it the local field office? Was it the state police? What was going on?
Male hole.
So the local authorities have been fantastic.
Okay.
The local sheriff, the state PD have been wonderful. And any investigation, as you hinted to, of this magnitude has so many people in it because I'd made the decision to surge so many resources. And to get the information up to me was of the utmost priority. So I worked with my team to say, hey, there's not going to be any delays.
No. Oh, fuck, I really am Unk. Wait, what am I missing?
We're not going to do it the way we normally do things. So the only thing that people were doing at the FBI was how they knew how to do things. I had to expedite that process. That's my job.
I see.
That's what I thought this case deserved, and that's what this case was rightly calling for. So I made the tough calls, but I wasn't critical of anyone in particular. I just said we got to move faster. And that was my call to make. And if there's any criticism there, you can put it
But
right
who
here.
wasn't giving you information, Director? Who wasn't giving you the photos when you requested them quickly, and it didn't make it to you? Who denied that order?
It's not a denial of the order. Just to clarify, I'm glad we're talking about this. The photos were produced. They just weren't produced in a timely fashion that I felt was appropriate for an investigation of this magnitude. So I came in and I accelerated that process.
So in the 24 hours after, when we were still looking for the guy, I know you posted that we got him. And that ended up not being true. You took some incoming because of that. What led to you posting that? Why did you feel so certain about it? And what do you have to say about the criticism?
No, I appreciate this opportunity. Look, as I stated, I was being transparent with working with the public on our findings as I had them. I stated in that message that we had a subject.
Self-report.
And that we were going to interview him, and we did, and he was released. The job of the FBI is not just to manhunt the actual suspect who did the killing or suspects, but it's also to eliminate targets and eliminate subjects who are not involved in the process. And that's what we were doing. Could I have worded it a little better in the heat of the moment? Sure. But do I regret putting it out? Absolutely not. I was telling the world what the FBI was doing as we were doing, and I'm continuing to do that. And I challenge anyone out there to find a director that has been more transparent and more willing to work the media on high-profile cases, or any case the FBI is handling, than we have been.
And just follow, do you think that guy was part of the plot to distract you while this guy got away? Do you think there's any connection between two of those people that stood up and acted crazy at that moment?
Well, as it's now been publicly reported, some of these people were taking claims for this horrific act of violence, and they had nothing to do with it. Others were working what we call a daisy chain analyses, and this is where the cell phone data dumps are so important. We're seeing who talked to who, not just in chat groups.
This is a political
We're seeing who
channel.
texted who was around who. We're using our geofencing capabilities to map out exactly where individuals were, and then we're also getting into their personal cell phone information to say, were you calling so-and-so? Were you texting so-and-so? And we know the suspect was communicating with folks, but as I've said, that cell phone tower information, you got to get it the right way, with search warrants, with lawful authority, so that our prosecutors can use it in court for whatever investigations they decide to prosecute.
Cash, he's not saying a word. He's not admitting it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so thoughts on why this guy, Mpreg? Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess. We're going deep. So the guy in custody isn't saying anything. Do you think there's any way he gets out of the death penalty for this?
Is he remorseful? And what happens to him? Does he get the death penalty?
Well, I'll let the state authorities speak to their prosecution, which is ongoing.
He kind of looks like one of my old roommates. It's not him, but I know a guy that looks loosely similar.
As I think your summary is correct, based on my information that I have, he has not been cooperating in terms of interrogations with our law enforcement officials.
And Mr. Director, we always appreciate it because every time there's silence, that's when the conspiracy theories pop up. Yeah. So we appreciate you coming out with us today and just telling people what you know.
The hypocrisy is lost.
Appreciate it, Mr. Director.
Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm
No. All right, that was one thing. Oh yeah, we have Marco Rubio apparently saying they're going to crack down on people with visas that are making fun of Charlie Kirk's death.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is meeting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem amid rising tensions there following Israel's strike on Hamas leaders in Qatar. Our nation's top diplomat sitting down with Fox News in an exclusive interview with Jillian Turner. She is live in the Holy City now. Good morning, Jillian.
Hi from beautiful Jerusalem. Aisha, Secretary of State Marco Rubio just sat down with me for an exclusive and wide-ranging interview. He broke the news that he's going to head to Qatar next after he leaves Israel to sit down with officials there.
Yeah, I'm unk. Why do these people do this? Because they're xenophobic? Maybe? Yeah, xenophobic, I think.
As they hash out a response to Israel.
And with any good fascist movement, you need an enemy. And apparently our enemy is students on visas.
Surprise attacks last week, but he also made very clear that even here, halfway across the world, his thoughts are still very much at home. He
Bro,
announced
who's
to
laying
us
on
that
the
he plans to
horn?
revoke the visas of foreign down with officials there as they hash out a response to Israel's surprise attacks last week. But he also made very clear that even here, halfway across the world, his thoughts are still very much at home. He announced to us that he plans to revoke the visas of foreigners.
Nah, like, if
who
I was
are
a
seen as
politician who was Christian, I would never go to Israel and put a yarmulke and touch that wall. I feel like every politician that goes to Israel does that. It's not just a Jewish site. It's also important in Christianity, too. I don't know a ton about the wall, but I know it has a ton of religious significance for Christians and Jews. I don't know about the yarmulke thing, though. I don't know about that tradition too much.
celebrating or otherwise glorifying Charlie's assassination. Take a listen.
This country, we should not be giving visas to people who are going to come to the United States and do things like celebrate the murder, the execution, the assassination of a political figure. We should not. And if they're already here, we should be revoking their visa. Why would we want to bring people into our country that are going to engage in negative and destructive behavior?
Before Fox News sat down with Rubio, he had spent 2 hours one-on-one with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this morning talking about the Israeli assault on Gaza City. Rubio is here to signal President Trump's ironclad support for Israel. He says he visited the Western Wall yesterday where he prayed alongside the Prime Minister. Rubio's trip to Doha also comes as Qatar right now is holding an emergency meeting with allies to decide on a response to Israel's shock attack last week. Mr. Secretary, that by
Jesus fucking Christ. 56 dead in Israeli. Jesus Christ. And southern Lebanon. Alright. Oh, damn.
traveling to Doha while they are holding these meetings, the Prime Minister here is going to feel not snubbed because you just met with him, but feel sort of...
Our relationship with Israel is not going to...
What is this? It's like, yeah, so you know the country that your ally just invaded? Don't you think that Netanyahu's going to feel snubbed if you go to Doha? Like, I think people forget that Qatar is an ally and like a forward operating place for the U.S. in the Middle East. We have military bases there. We have relationships with the government there. We strike deals with them. Like, I don't know. Fucking Fox News has an anti-Islamic bias. Would you imagine that?
To be affected by any of this. We're going to continue to be strong allies and partners. The president, as president said, he wasn't happy with the way things went down. That doesn't mean we're going to stop being their partner and their ally. But our message, both here in Jerusalem and also in Doha, will be what it's been consistently, and that is, despite, we're not diminishing it, we're not asking you to ignore it.
Who is mixing the audio here? That's not me, I swear.
We also, Aisha, spoke about his goals and the president's goals to continue focusing on getting all the remaining hostages in Hamas captivity released. He said they are no longer going to negotiate piecemeal. They want the remaining out altogether, along with a ceasefire deal at once. Nothing else, he says, is on the table anymore. Aisha.
Okay, Jillian Turner reporting live from Jerusalem for us. Jillian, thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And
also, fun fact for those uninitiated, I'm number 3,000 in the world at Minesweeper speedrunning. Out of a couple 100,000, I think. I'm the top 0 or million. I don't know. I'm in the top 0.01%, which is a wild thing.
Morning, everyone, on this Monday.
Sorry. Okay, we'll move on from Fox News soon. I think after this we'll watch some old Charlie Kirk stuff because I feel like if this is going to be a topic of conversation going forward, it probably is important to nail down some of his positions.
Morning, we saw an outpouring of support from coast to coast over the weekend, north into Canada for the late Charlie Kirk. How people across the country now are paying tribute, as we say. Although somber weekend, we'll get to everything this coming week. We'll take it day by day. I'm Bill Hemmer. Dana's got the week off, and
actually, I have a Tim Pool clip too. I haven't rewatched any of this today. I had a bunch of errands this morning.
I'm Aisha Husney, and this is America's Newsroom. So it was a weekend of remembrance, Bill. Everybody from musicians to athletes and everyday Americans all mourning Charlie Kirk.
Charlie, 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 Charlie. There were protests?
It's been hitting me harder in the last couple of days, and I just wanted to let Erica Kirk know that me and my family are sending prayers our way. USA! 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 USA!
So now we know that Charlie Kirk's memorial service is set for Sunday.
Also,
in
there's
Arizona.
a video of his wife.
President Trump will be there.
saying
It will
we're
be
gonna
held
get
in a football
revenge.
stadium where
So
the
that was
Arizona Cardinals
fun.
play. Capacity 78,000 possibly. This is Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, reacted to the assassination on Friday evening and then sent out a few of these photos from over the weekend. She vows to continue his legacy and make the movement even stronger than what he started.
Meanwhile, Bill, we are still learning more about his suspected assassin. Officials are telling us that he is not cooperating with them, but his family and his friends are talking. And FBI Director Kash Patel gave us an update on this investigation this morning. Listen.
I can't believe how incestuous it is that Fox
from
News
the
is
towel
all
that was
over.
wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver
It's like actual state-run media
positively
at this
processed
point.
for the suspect in custody. The suspect wrote a note saying, "I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of his existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
We're going to get into all of that with FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino. He's here with us this morning. But first, let's go to Garrett Tenney. He is in Spanish Fork, Utah. Good morning to you.
Aisha, good morning to you. Apart from that note that Director Patel mentioned, we have also learned that Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin also sent...
Regardless of political ideology, it seems like it's just, well, not just, but like, it's an indicator of just political edgelord area, or internet edgelord. I think it's the same thing with the Trump shooter. Like, the Trump shooter had more indication that he was on the right. But again, people flip, like, speaking as a young person, you flip political ideologies maybe twice a year. Like, I don't know. It's fucking... If it was an old head who had like a manifesto and everything, maybe, but...
a text message to a different individual saying essentially the same thing, that he had an opportunity to take Charlie out and that he was going to do it because he hated what Charlie stood for. So this is part of...
Yeah, no, okay. When people say that, they are projecting. When you have the President of the United States saying that right-wing violence is justified and epic, it's not MSNBC that's radicalizing people. It's like niche, like super Antifa communities. Yeah, what? For saying what? You can say retarded on Twitch. I think.
The investigation now, looking into who knew what and when. And as part of that, we've learned the FBI is investigating left-wing groups in Utah to see if they knew about the accused killer's plans or provided him with any kind of help.
We're seeing who talked to who, not just in chat groups. We're seeing who texted who was around who. We're using our geofencing capabilities to map out exactly where individuals were. And then we're also getting into their personal cell phone information to say, were you calling so-and-so? Were you texting so-and-so? And we know the suspect was communicating with folks.
We're also getting a glimpse into the suspect's mindset during the days after the assassination. This new surveillance video obtained by TMZ shows the 22-year-old walking up to UVU's campus the morning of the shooting, just as about 4 hours before it happened, wearing a maroon shirt and light-colored shorts. We know he later changed into this outfit that the FBI released images of. After those images went out, we have learned that some of the suspect's friends in an online group chat were joking that he looked just like the man in those pictures. The New York Times reports that the suspect allegedly replied that his doppelganger was trying to, quote, get me in trouble. And when another friend joked that the group could turn him in for the reward, the suspect allegedly said, quote, only if I get a cut. Back here at the Utah County Jail, officials tell us the suspect is being held in a separate unit under special watch to make sure he does.
At least as of yet, the FBI hasn't arrested anybody, or like no one's been arrested other than the shooter. Even the people in these chat rooms. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like you would think if they were like, oh, all these people had prior knowledge this was going to happen, there'd be a lot more people in custody. Am I having a misread of that? But
hasn't hurt himself or others before his first court appearance tomorrow. We're told he will appear virtually, and that ahead of that hearing, prosecutors will formally file charges against him. Aisha?
Okay, Garrett Tenney live for us. Garrett, thank you.
So Dan Bongino is the FBI Deputy Director. And sir, thank you for your time this morning. Important stuff here after a very heavy weekend. Thank you for being here. I want to go back to last week on the day that he was killed. Try and clear up a few things as best we can. Did anyone in that crowd aid or assist this assassination?
Well, that's what we're looking into now, Bill. Obviously,
guy.
we have a suspect in custody. It's quite clear. It's why I'm here discussing this individual. However, if this was a larger effort, there was any aiding and abetting, whether it be financial, whether it be someone who knew the specifics of it and failed to report that. As you heard the director say this morning, we as an FBI, our team, along with our state and local partners, are looking into that. We have a lot of technical capabilities, a lot of good investigative capabilities, where we can scrub that entire network, whether it's OSINT, open source intel, through social media that people posted publicly. We'll be looking at that. We'll also be dropping a lot of paper, a lot of subpoenas out there to take a look to see if there was any extended network. But I want to be clear, there are things I can say, as you well know today, and things I can't. I don't want to get ahead or jeopardize the investigation. But when I can what I can share with you, Bill, I will. We are clinging to transparency here. This
Streamer,
is,
maybe?
You know, the era of the, you know, Cronkite and Jennings generation is over. New media now is media. And we want to be sure we can do everything in our power and do everything in our power to share what
I feel like it's an assault on the soul if I open up Urban Dictionary.
we can, when we can, while still balancing the needs of the investigation.
Okay, I heard Kash Patel 90 minutes ago in our program. I want to get to a couple of things that he made news on, but first I want to drill in on this. Is there any connection at all between the person who was asking the question about mass shooters and trans killers, or was that just a stunning coincidence when that single shot was fired?
Well, we're investigating that. I don't want to say conclusively right now if there was a connection or not. Sometimes Charlie was known to speak out about these issues. He was a powerful voice. It's not terribly uncommon for him to get questions like that. However, we are looking into that. Any potential connection here,
okay, so
we're going to scrub.
I'm not drawing conclusions from your answer, but you're saying it's a possibility. Is that what I hear you saying?
We're looking into everything, Bill. There's not going to be a stone left unturned if there was anyone involved who aided, abetted. I can't say that in strong enough terms. Every single FBI asset on this team is being applied and used in this investigation.
Okay, after he fired that single fatal shot, we've got the video of him jumping off the backside of the building. Where is the gun when he drops 15 feet down to the grass below?
Did he stuff it down his pants?
If you look at the video, the gun is you'll see in the back of the when you're watching the video right there, it appears from the video here that the gun is either in the backpack or on him. When he jumps down, this is where, by the way, this part of the video, this is where we got a significant portion of the forensic evidence in the case, which we had to expedite. We had a number of assets, including fixed-wing assets, to be able to fly. Obviously,
it's not a lot of good news today or recently. Although I think the news cycle is a little more chill today. I think now it's another day of the blame game. I don't really care about the TikTok thing. I think it's probably right to ban it, just based on... So the U.S. said they were going to ban TikTok. It's already banned from government devices. The Supreme Court and everything came to the decision that TikTok should be banned. Yeah. This was like, I think, coming up to a year ago now. But now that Trump's in office, he likes TikTok. He likes that Russian and Chinese propaganda helped him get elected. And so he doesn't want to ban it because, yeah, they're essentially TikTok said Trump good, therefore Trump doesn't want to ban them. So he keeps extending it in 90-day increments. So, yeah, the law doesn't matter, only what Trump thinks.
Salt Lake and that specific area in Provo is not around the corner from FBI labs. It's difficult. But we were able, during that scene, him grabbing that particular side of the building and jumping down, we were able to gather a significant amount of forensic information, which we expedited back to the lab, which was the key, I think, piece of information that we were able to crack this thing open.
Okay. Just looking at that video, it's hard to see the weapon. And that's why the question is still obvious to me today. Kash Patel said earlier today that he expressed to someone that he had an opportunity to take out the killer and was going to do it. Did that person do anything with that information?
Yeah, that's what we're really disturbed about. It appears that this was communicated. You see this a lot, Bill, when in targeted violence cases, assassinations, school shootings, where the individual expresses in advance in a good swath of these cases his desire or her desire to do these specific things. That appears to be the case here as well, where the intent component was there in advance and the target was announced in advance prior. Now, that's the part we want to know. Did they know and not say? Now, Bill, you have to keep in mind, and I don't want anyone to jump to conclusions on this. Did they say it, hear it, and think it was some kind of a joke? That's what we're trying to find out now. But I promise you, if there's a larger network here,
the whole
we're going to get that out to
the opportunity to do the funniest thing. That's something people say all the fucking time. So, like, I don't know. If I received a text like this, I don't know if I believe it.
As soon as we can, we really are
okay, the reason why this is really important to your investigation, understanding motive that I'll get to in a moment here, is that
let me tell you, I'm a Fox
that
News host. I know.
If I've got the dates right here, that event was announced 1 week before it happened. And we've got the reporting from over the weekend that said that the killer, the accused killer now, expressed views with his family at a dinner table. And I don't know what the timeline is between when that happened. Was it hours or was it days? I mean, clearly it had to be at least a couple days, if not less. And if he also expressed this opinion that he had an opportunity to take out Kirk and was going to do it, well, when was that message transmitted? From the point that Charlie was killed?
This is the troubling part of the investigation.
Why does this Fox News host want to play investigator?
There appear to have been multiple warning signs. You just laid out some of them. There were people in his network, friends and family, who had stated that he had become more political, that he had become, at some parts, I believe some of his coworkers had stated that he had kind of detached himself when the topic of politics came up and walked away from them. Family members said he'd become more political, leading us to believe that this ideology had infected him and had taken over. And he was just intent, it appears, from the data we've accumulated and the channel and that note, which we have some evidence may have existed before based on the communications in that channel, that his target was obviously going to be Charlie and that people knew in advance. The question is, again, I just want to go back to what you had asked before. Did they know? Were they sure of this? Or did they hear this and just write it off? That's what we're going to have to find out. And that's what we're investigating. Bill, this investigation is just begun. This isn't even the beginning of the beginning. You know, yes, we have a subject in custody. You know, everybody's innocent until proven guilty in our constitutional republic. However, this is not done by any stretch. Our men and women out there in the Bureau have worked tirelessly all week. And I just got back to D.C. Last night. And, Cash and I were out there on the scene. We walked the scene. We went through every single component of it. We saw the evidence up close and personal. And we went out there to be able to...
Yeah, do you remember? Because part of the... I don't know how they got the messaging on this out, like, under the radar. But it's not... It's not the Democratic Party. It's now the Democrat Party. Which, that switch happened like maybe a year ago, which is like, God forbid, the implication that someone is Democratic. And people on the right now are bringing up, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. Like, yeah, we're both. We're a democratic republic. But if we call ourselves a democracy, that means you have to vote Democrat, apparently. Like, I just, like, why switch from Democratic Party to Democrat Party? It doesn't even sound nice. You motherfuckers.
To make command decisions with our team on the ground. And I think the process, although not perfect, of course, I think the process went pretty well, considering we got him in 33 hours.
Okay, yeah, I respect the process here, too. The governor, Cox, said he had a leftist ideology. I don't know what issues were important to him. Maybe you can share that with us today. And Kash Patel said, if I've got this right, he said, I'm looking at facts, not motive. What's the working theory now as to motive?
Well, I think it's pretty clear based on the statements of family members, friends, and some of the messaging we have on these digital footprints left behind that
give me some more Gen Z, Gen Alpha
some
lingo.
Obsession with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is obviously a conservative commentator. That's no secret to anyone out there.
Walter,
so while, again, I don't want to
that?
speak in advance and jeopardize the case in any way, I think it's fairly obvious to everyone out there, and there's no need to parse words with it, that clearly this was an ideologically motivated attack. I mean, Charlie Kirk is a conservative commentator who sadly and tragically gave his life, underneath a sign asking people to challenge his ideas, the very essence of our constitutional republic. And Bill, if I may, I know
more...
it's a news show.
That's definitely new. I think, yeah, only people like Gen Z, maybe millennial would use that. Because it's a new phenomena. I don't know if boomers say it, because the people that are doing the transvestigating are boomers. And it's just generally people on the right. But I don't think a boomer would know the lingo transvestigate, because it's usually someone on the left describing what the right is doing as transvestigating. Which we're seeing in real time, too.
But, Charlie was my friend. Charlie wasn't my friend. Charlie was my good friend. And I spent the weekend, after coming back from Utah, looking through text exchanges going back years with Charlie. And it's kind of hard to believe he's not here. So, this has been hard for everyone. And I think it's fair and appropriate for everyone.
Let's do... What were the ones of Charlie Kirk Oxford debate? Because there was this. Should we just look at some, like, TPUSA videos?
You know, Patriot.
Man, this is going back to the stuff that brought me to the right when I was a little shit. Foolish libs gets handled. That's a... "2 hours of Charlie Kirk taking on Florida Gators." Oh, Lord. Yeah, no, go for... actually, I want to see it just for my own curiosity. I would like to think I'm a good ally, but hit me with some of the lingo. I'll let you know if I know it or not. DL down low? Is that DL? Trade? Trade? No, I do not know. Well, I know, like, international trade, but I don't think that's what you're referring to. The showdown.
You know about Patriot Mobile and what they stand for. I've talked to you about their commitment to family, faith, and freedom. But have you made the switch yet? You'll get exceptional nationwide coverage on America's best networks without sacrificing your values. Get unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and even
Oh, I see. I thought that was, like, closeted, but okay, yeah, sure. I see.
Backup line on your phone. Patriot can do it all. Switching is easy. Keep your number, your phone, or get a new one. Go to Patriot.
I thought when it was trans women, I thought that was called a chaser. But is that, or is a chaser someone, like, specifically, like, anti-trans that also sleeps with trans people or is interested in trans stuff?
Mobile.com/Kirk25 or call 972-PATRIOT. Use promo code Kirk25 for a free month of service. Okay, everyone, it is late on a Friday night, and it is a historic day. President Donald Trump woke up at 5 a.m., boarded Air Force One, and flew across the continent all the way to Alaska. Why did he do this? Went to Alaska to go meet with Vladimir Putin.
I got you.
Vladimir Putin actually flew longer. Why did Vladimir Putin fly all the way from Moscow to Anchorage? That is one of the buried components of this that I want to explore, which is Putin did not have to do this. He's on the verge of an ugly victory, that he flew all the way across his continent to meet with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, by the way, he...
I don't want to soy out, but it's just like already so much shit that is insane. But I'll let it speak for it. I'll let him speak for himself.
He was going to fly 6 hours there, do the meeting, and fly 6 hours back. The guy's a total machine. So just a little bit of a setup here. This was done on Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska, right outside Anchorage, Alaska. They decided not to do it at a resort or a hotel where sometimes these meetings happen, but instead on a U.S. Air Force Base. And I think we now know why President Trump decided in that. Wasn't necessarily because of security.
I don't know. It's just
security. But President Donald Trump, he wanted his opening salvo.
I don't know what the sound is from.
A show of force. You see, Vladimir Putin is a lot of things, but he is a brute force actor. What he understands most fundamentally, more than anything else, is force and the administration of force. And Vladimir Putin, coming down the tarmac there, shaking hands with President Donald Trump. Oh, boy. As you can see here, President Donald Trump on...
Maybe we shouldn't do one of the ones where he's just opining, because I'm actually going to, like, implode. Let's do some debates. Charlie Cook, bitch. Fuck no. Oh my god.
Yes.
Is this good?
One of the smart lives.
Hi, so my name's Robert Matas, and I kind of want to not make this like a screaming match. I first off do want to say that although I don't believe in a lot of the stuff that you say, I do want to give you
Trad
your
wife
flowers for
definition.
giving us, people who do disagree, the chance to come and talk about it.
Thank you for saying that.
And two, like, even for me, like someone who wants to get into politics, I have a chance now to challenge my beliefs and my stuff with someone who's like talked to Newsom and everything. So my main thing I want to talk about is the fact that, so you have said that you're a constitutionalist, right? Like, do you, like, you feel like
true.
you're a strong believer in the Constitution?
Correct.
Yeah. So
Good one.
my question is, or I guess my belief is that now with the modern day presidency, you cannot be a constitutionalist and still support Trump.
Okay, why? And then I have a follow-up question.
So my first thing is, one, Trump openly defying the Supreme Court, and supporting that is him saying on an interview just the other day, he does not know if it's his job to uphold the Constitution, which in fact
Well, I
is
can't use
one of the
wife
main
in the
jobs
definition.
of the presidency. Which I feel like, am I wrong? Can you combat that?
I don't believe that's what he said, but let's talk.
You can look at the interview. That's literally what he said. He has lawyers to decide whether he has to uphold the Constitution.
No, of course.
When the DOJ
first
is
of all,
not his attorneys.
Well, no, the DOJ actually 100% is.
They are the U.S. government
no,
attorneys.
No, but
they do not protect Donald J. Trump.
Stop interrupting me. First of all, what branch is the Department of Justice in?
I'm not. Okay, sorry, I don't have that written down here. I'm just.
Dude, come on. I mean.
But can you?
It's in the
It's
in the executive branch. So the
can
DOJ.
You respond to my claim, though?
Yes, without you interrupt. I let you talk uninterrupted.
You're true.
The DOJ works for President Trump completely and totally. Okay. They are in the executive branch. The Attorney General is wholly adherent to the President of the United States. Secondly, tell me about Article 2.
Well, they are also there to keep Trump in check.
No, they're not. No, that's where you're.
That is just, okay. The DOJ historically is supposed to be kind of separate. Yes, they are in the executive branch, but Biden's DOJ investigated Biden. Like, it's supposed to be. This kid is right. It is supposed to be a check, kind of.
You're wrong, dude. That's the third branch. That's what. No, see, this is where you're totally miseducated. The DOJ works for President Trump. Literally, the Attorney General of the United States works for the President of the United States. The Supreme Court, or the third branch, is a separate branch. The DOJ is not a separate branch. It's not.
I'm not saying the DOJ is a separate branch, but I'm saying the DOJ should. I'm saying that they are not meant to serve Trump.
Yes, they are.
If Trump does something wrong.
No, that's wrong. That's not correct. You see, you have a wrong, and you have to tell me what article does the Attorney General fall under? 1, 2, or 3?
I don't know.
Article 2, which is the President of the United States. All power vested in Article 2 is vested in the President. That's right there in Article 2. Now, as far as define the Supreme Court, he hasn't defied it, but even if he did, Joe Biden.
He's trying to challenge it, though.
Challenging's not defying, dude. That's appealing to the Supreme Court. Joe Biden literally defied a final decision on the Supreme Court when it came to student loans.
But it didn't go through. It stopped.
No. Joe Biden kept on actually defying it.
Yeah, because he kept trying to rework it to where it would be legal.
Again, but the point, he
stopped.
He materially defied it. That's beside the point.
He kept
but
trying
Trump
until
is
the
not,
Supreme Court
Trump is
found
not
it,
currently defying the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court said he needs to facilitate the return for Abrego Garcia. And I don't advocate for the man. I just advocate
the Supreme Court has not said they have to do that. They haven't. You're wrong. But the Supreme Court said is that the Trump administration made an error and they have to write a request to El Salvador,
but you're
which they did.
ignoring the part where they said he has to facilitate the return.
And he has. El Salvador has.
Wait, so okay.
Said is that the Trump administration made an error and they have to write a request to El Salvador, which they did.
The word they used was facilitate.
The part where they said he has to facilitate the return.
And he has. El Salvador has denied it.
He said he
doesn't control.
Want to ask
he doesn't control El Salvador.
Okay. I want to appreciate too. Thank you for helping me with the stuff that I am wrong about. So that I appreciate as well.
Last point. Then we have a long line.
Okay. I also want to say too. I've heard you make points about how the Fifth Amendment only applies to U.S. citizens.
In certain cases, yes.
Do you believe that the 14th Amendment as well only applies to U.S. citizens?
Yeah. Okay, but there's the written rule and then there's tradition. Okay. The DOJ traditionally is supposed to kind of be separate from the president. All right, they do run some investigations like they did against Biden and against Hunter Biden. But what Trump has done is defied all tradition and used them as his attack dogs, like he's doing with the FBI and whatnot, That's why I hate well, he's allowed to. First of all, more than half the shit he's doing, he's not allowed to. But even when he is, it's not like in the tradition of the United States to do so. It's against the spirit of what it's supposed to be. Yeah. But Trump, especially in in recent history, Trump has accelerated that defiance. Like he is uniquely bad.
Again, in a limited scope, yes. Because, again, the Supreme Court agrees. Again, there's expedited removal.
But what about...
The Supreme Court has said there's no due process rights for any... you're interrupting me, man.
Okay.
The Supreme Court has said that there is no due process rights for illegal aliens that have come within 100 miles of the southern border or 2 weeks of entry. That's a 2019 decision based on expedited removal. So actually, and according to many other Supreme Court decisions, an illegal alien within 2 years here in the United States gets no due process rights.
Right over Israel's border, there are thousands of Christians and Druze who are being targeted and killed. The fellowship cannot stand by and watch. We are sending aid in.
Most of the world is oblivious to what's happening. Thousands of people who have lost their lives. No food, no medicine. We're standing in the middle of a miracle. Food will be in the hands of Druze and Christians.
Okay, so the definition for chat is an audience that judges the authenticity of an event, as in chat, is this real? It's loose. Let me know if you think of something better, but you get the joke I'm kind of going for.
Wherever it's needed, we will continue to save lives of our brothers and sisters. We will continue to give hope. To learn more, please go to ifcj.org.
With God as my witness, we are going to use use every resource we have at the DOJ, Homeland Security, throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks.
Ones that cross over the border, illegal immigrants.
They're all criminals, yes.
When most of them, especially, and I want to ask you what you think about the ones who were arrested or were detained while trying to go through the legal processes. The ones who came in, actually, and it is a loophole. I'll admit that Joe Biden allowed for a loophole to get into the system, right, through...
open borders?
No, through asylum. So asylum was a loophole, but it still was a legal way to...
Yes, it is weird. It is weird. Because as we've moved on as a country, as we've moved forward, we've established kind of what the roles of these agencies are, and using them as your personal attack dog is not one of those roles.
Enter the country. And what about the illegal immigrants who were detained while going to their meetings to make sure they stayed within the legal processes?
They're still in violation of 8 U.S.C. 1312.
If they came in using...
What is 8 U.S.C. 1312? You don't know. That's fine. It's fraudulently filling out an asylum claim, of which these people are.
But that's what the courts are...
Again, there's 8 U.S.C. 1305, which is illegally crossing the southern border, which can be...
Again, the court, you still get whatever.
Enforced also upon the second entrance.
I'm not like here to debate, Charlie. I'm here to remember or to figure out what the fuck he was saying, because it's been north of probably 5 years since I've seen a Charlie Kirk video.
There's 8 U.S.C. 13.
Into the border.
Again, man, I know. I don't mean to make you look bad.
Okay.
You just don't know enough about this stuff. I encourage you to look at 8
It's
U.S.C.
the Tim
1305,
Pool tactic.
8 U.S.C. 1312. How the criminal code actually comes in particular here. The Supreme Court has given President Trump full authority to deport these illegals without same due process as people here in America.
But what about
Last
the
point.
Supreme
Okay. Oh my god. For memes, oh man, we could do Charlie Kirk versus Hassan Piker. Oh, that's something. That's a fucking... That's the one where he was yelling at Shank for something. Yeah, it just would have been fucking Coughing Baby versus Coughing Baby. Because Hassan is not good at debating, and I don't think he's a good fucking representation of the left. My personal opinion, he's a bit of a moron who benefits hugely from a giant echo chamber. Because, I mean, he lost the debate to Willie Mack. Regardless of your stance on Israel-Palestine, he looked like shit in the debate against Ethan Klein. Like, just... I understand liking him. I think he's harmful to the liberal movement. I don't think he's part of it. He's anti-electoral, which I really despise because I think that's, instead of actively helping, it's actively harmful. So I'm really not a fan of him. There's politics of aesthetics, and he's part of it, I think. I'm going to need some clarification on what you mean by that. What is really weird is the president can take over the duties of any of his principal officers. Can you imagine Trump stepping in as DOJ? It's like, I'm not a lawyer, but I'll give it my best shot. Oh God, I didn't know they did that. Who did 9/11? Oh God.
Let your patriotic values guide how you invest. Joining us now is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from the great state of Oklahoma. Senator, you tweeted out, quote, "It's Saturday, August 2nd, and I'm still voting."
Well, he did a damn good job.
I'll
from
stay
what
in
I
session.
remember.
We're looking at 3 options to clear the jam with POTUS. Give us the latest on what is the jam, and is the Senate going to stay in session all of August?
Okay, but given that politics is of aesthetic, to have someone as extreme as Hassan be a face of what people see as the left, I think is super, super harmful. If we are in a politics of aesthetics world, Hassan is one of the worst people to have as our face. Hassan is pretty fucking extreme. Especially with his rhetoric around Hamas and Hezbollah. And being anti-electoral and all that. That is extreme. He's not, like, within the Democratic movement. He's not a Demsoc. Yeah, I can hear that, but at the same time, defending Hamas and Hezbollah is not good aesthetics at all. And no, I did not watch the latest episode of the Charlie Kirk show. This one? It's on Rumble? Oh, Lord. Jesus fuck. The Quartering has a show? I thought this guy was just a no-name Twitter account. Oh, God. Shit, I forgot I had a call. Alright, well, short stream today. Sorry, everybody. I forgot I have other obligations. I gotta make a schedule. Sorry about that, everybody. We'll dive into this again tomorrow.